Good evening, everyone, and welcome you all to the last day of the International Virtual Workshop on Thesis Writing and Publication, which is jointly organized by Lavender Literary Club, Cape Comorin Trust, and Malaysian Industrial Relation and Human Resource Association, Malaysia. So we are having three speakers for today, and our first speaker is going to be Dr. S. Veeramani, and I would like to call upon Jessica, student of the University Malaysia Kelantan, to briefly introduce about our speaker. Over to you, Jessica.
Hello, my name is Jessica Nangwana Jeffrey. So I will introduce about Dr. S. Veeramani. Dr. S. Veeramani is a scholar, research advisor, and a prolific writer. He did his bachelor, master, and master philosophy in English language and literature in Saint Joseph College, Autonomous, Tiruchirappalli. He obtained a PhD degree in postmodernism from Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. His doctoral thesis on postmodernism was well received and appreciated. He has published more than 20 research articles in international index with good impact factor journals. He is a member in international professional and academic. Dr. Veeramani, also one of the editorial board members and reviews in the International Journal of English Literature and Humanities. He is a columnist in Tamil monthly magazine Sumaigahangi. Besides, he received the Best Research Paper Publisher Awards from St. Joseph College Management in 2015. He is a research person to various colleges to train students in the field of English communication and soft skill. He is a voracious reader. He gained 10 years of teaching experience in his alma mater. At present, he is an assistant professor of English in Arigna Anna Government Arts College, Namakal. Welcome to you, Dr. S. Veeramani.
Yes, madam. Thank you for your very good introduction about me. First of all, I have to thank the Lavender Literary Club and Cape Comorin Trust and Malaysian Industrial Relations and Human Resource Association, Malaysia, for providing me such a beautiful and wonderful chance to say a few things about the research and how research can be done in a fruitful way. And I have to thank Jessica for having given a great and wonderful introduction about me. And especially, I have to thank the Lavender Literary Club, the organizer, and also the president of that club, Mr. Satya, for giving one more chance to share my views and how research can be taken place fruitfully. And this forum, that is a virtual forum, virtual internet, 3 days virtual international workshop. So it is a wonderful thing to say that Mr. Satya, who is the owner of the Lavender Literary Club, is conducting the workshops and seminars, webinars for promoting the research, not only in India, but also he is promoting research through conducting all these kinds of, what would I say, forums across the globe. So his contribution is great. To point out today, his contribution is very great, and he has to be acknowledged in various ways. So, with this, I begin my session by sharing my screen. I think my screen is visible to you. Yes,
Yes,
sir. Is my screen? Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the my topic today is research design and methods in social sciences. Actually, why do we research? This is a great question. It is what should I say? Uh, Everybody who is not in the field of research and who is in the field of research, they ask, why do we research? What is the mode of research? And what is the purpose of research? Even they are in association with the research, they have the same question in himself or in herself. Why? What is the reason? What can be done through our research? And these things are there. What I tell you, research is taking place to make an innovative step. Simply, we cannot say that the exact art or exact research and so on. So even if you are taking a part in research, or you are doing research on your own or by your supervisor, the research should be useful for the society. Okay, without the useful of useful for the society, if your research is published as a book or a thesis, it is null and void as far as I'm concerned here. So your thesis or your research should be valid, and your research should be something useful for the society of various kinds. Your research may be useful to children, your research may be useful to adults, your research may be useful to common men and women, or else the educators and another research groups and so on. So this is the ultimate and important idea, that we must have the concept of research in our mind before doing the research. So here in social sciences, we have so many methods, we have so many designs. Okay, so here I would like to say a few things about how research can be done in social sciences. So my question, what exactly is research? Research is to bring out an innovative idea. That innovative idea is useful for any kind of a society. Okay, this is the first thing. The second thing I would like to tell you is common types of research. Number one is correlational research, and second one is experimental research. What is correlational research? In the correlational research, the goal is to determine the two or more variables are related, whether two or more variables are related. What is variable here? Say, for example, in social sciences, many people give and supply or take the survey by using the questionnaire for various kinds, okay, various types. So in the questionnaire, we collect the variable. What is variable? So variable is anything on different values. We must understand that variable is anything on different values. Different values you find, it may be a weight, it may be time, it may be height, or it may be the length, and so on. So these are all called variables. So the variables are measured like anything through your supplying the question or questionnaire, and then you can analyze through the SPSS software for having the statistical point of view, for having the statistical identification. So that's why we have the variables. And another point I would like to make here, a researcher may be interested in determining whether age is related to weight. Okay, what we have, the age is related to weight. Say, for example, the age is intended to relate to weight because as age increases, weight also increases. So this is the variable, first of all. At the age of 12, the person's weight will be something else. At the age of 40, a person's weight, the same person's weight will be something different from the 15 or 18. Okay, so this is the variable. But what I tell you today, it is a medical point of view. What I tell you is a medical point of view. The age increases, weight also increases is a kind of a medical point of view. In today's scenario, it is something different, that age is not related with the weight today for some of the cases. So we need to analyze all these things also in our research. And then correlation or relationship between two things do not necessarily mean that one thing caused the another. So this is the point I told you. For the medical perspective, for the medical view of telling things, the age as the age increases, the weight also increases. So this is the ultimate aim of the medical research and medical perspective. But here, it does not mean that, it doesn't necessarily mean that the age increases, the compulsorily the weight also increases. It is not like that, but it may depend on the person's health and other complications related issues. So this is the correlational research, first of all. So correlation research has the variable. What is variable is the time, age, weight, and all these measurable things are called the variable. First, you must understand. And then second point, under the research method and design, we have to say the experimental research. This is what in a short form we can say that a cause and effect conclusion. It is to compare two groups, one outcome measure to test some hypothesis regarding causation. So what I mean is cause and effect. So for the effect, there will be a cause. That cause produces that kind of effect. So this is what we call the experimental research. So most of the researchers, they stick on to this experimental research. So there are broad areas of research. Number one is correlation research. Sometimes it may nullify the hypothesis. Sometimes it will accept the hypothesis. But whereas the experimental research is a common one, because social researchers adapt the experimental research, and the quantitative research is also coming under the experimental research, and qualitative method and mixed methods and arts-based method and community-based participatory method, and these are coming under the experimental research. So we need to stick on most of the research people and research supervisors and guides, they stick on to the experimental research, because when we do the experimental research, we have the proper result and analysis, because it says that a cause and effect conclusion. So in the part of a conclusion, in a research, we need to give importance to the conclusion. So we can have the introduction, we can have the review of literature, we can have the skeleton of the research which we are going to do, and we have the chapterization, and in between we have some methods and designs and we supply the questionnaires. Through the questionnaires, we can use the Excel format or else any other software called SPSS. Still, we have so many softwares. And ANOVA, you find that another software is ANOVA. And all these softwares can be utilized to have a very good effect and conclusion in your research. But in the conclusion, what we need to say is the conclusion should be logic, reasonable, understandable, and it has to be useful to the community in the society. So that what I speak today is a cause and effect conclusion is highly appreciated in the experimental research. When people do the experimental research, they have some sort of problems, the teething troubles and nitty-gritties and other things, and the difficulties that researcher faces, and all these things can be rectified in the due course of the research, and then the research leads to a great and useful conclusion. So this is the point that I wanted to explain on what is experimental research. Here, research study, there will be a plan for everything. Okay, when a researcher takes a research of any kind, it may be a research on science, on philosophy, on psychology, on sociology, or on any other fields like literature and language, okay, or else other humanities, whatever it may be. But I tell you, there should be a plan. The plan is the title of the study. So still, some researchers, they have interest in doing the research, but they are not able to find out the title first of all. So straight away they go to the guides, or straight away they go to the supervisors, and they ask the supervisors to suggest some titles for their research. This is ridiculous, first of all. This is absurd today. So this is the situation, today's scenario, that is absurdity. We have that in the research. Okay, the title must be chosen by the researcher himself. Unless otherwise the researcher is not able to do the research, there will be a problem again. Okay, the title of the study is well planned. So before taking or before completing or what should I say, framing the title properly, the researcher must do the review of literature more and more. Only then the person is able to come and arrive at the title properly. And then the problem statements. Why people are taking research? This is my question today. There will be a problem. There will be a problem between the existing scenario, the existing field or existing concept, existing topic, and the proposed topic. Okay, there will be a problem between the existing and proposed. And there will be a problem statement in the sense, this is the problem that I have identified in this research. When I wanted to prove the statement or give a solution to the problem, these are all the statements that I'm using. So this is what we call the problem statements. The another thing is the purpose statement. What is the purpose of doing your research? See, all of a sudden you cannot do the research. What people say and think that is, whatever I have in my mind, if I do anything by using the flowery language, okay, some bombastic language, some sort of what would I say, tools hither and thither. I mean, whatever the other person's idea can be reinterpreted in the conclusion part. Then they can say that that is their own idea, that is their own concept that they have arrived at in their due course of the research. They think like that. It is not that kind of research time, okay, because We are all in the AI, artificial intelligent era, and we are talking about, and we are taking some points and the assistance from the Internet of Things and data sciences, and all these things are there. So today we cannot say that this is what my research, that's what my research, and after completing and after writing 250 pages, it's a kind of a voluminous book. This is my research, not like that. But there should be a statement. That statement is to be purposefully purpose. Okay, the purpose that fulfills the people's needs, the needs in the sense what is essential through your research. Okay, what you are going to give the problem, I mean the conclusion to the problem by your research. All these things are there. This is what we call the purpose of statements. And the next point is the research questions, hypothesis or objectives. So research questions, so you yourself find at least 5 or 10 questions, and you yourself can have 4 or 5 hypotheses. Not that simply people they think that if I have more than 10 hypotheses or 100 hypotheses or 50 hypotheses, my thesis is very good, and people say like that. But it is not that. It is a totally, again I tell you that it is an absurd, and it is what should I say, not a good way of doing the research. The objectives, why you are going to do, and what is your research, give the objectives, who are going to be benefited out of your research, what is your research about, and who are the target audience or target people in your research. These things are to be defined under the caption called the research questions, hypothesis, or objectives. And then we have the review of literature. In the review of literature, most people, why do we have review of literatures? We need to read so many books and so many articles, the research articles published on the what today is a highly valuable journals, and the analysis part is to be completed through the views of literature. Okay, literature reviews, we can say that. Only then we can come to know that under this title, no one has touched, no one has done his, I mean, the thesis on this particular title. And this is the apt title for me. And I can, what should I say, situate the title in my research. All these things can be done. Then the next point is the theory base of the study. The theory base of the study, in the sense, there should be a theory. There should be a theory in the sense, all the time we cannot have the practical oriented, but the theory base of the study in the sense, you can apply a theory, and this at the same time you can give a theory also. We can stick on to the theory, any kind of theory. So it depends on the subject. Okay, say for example, the business people, they can go in for some other theory. The psychological people, they go in some other theories, and other people, they will stick on to the some other theories. So it depends on the subject first of all. And then the methods of selection. The selecting method is very important. Okay, in which method you are going to complete your research, in which method you are going to do your research. So that is very important. Is there a mixed method? Is there any other method? Is there a quantitative method or qualitative method? So it depends upon the research doer. At the same time, it depends upon the topic and the title which you have chosen for your research and study. So these are all the plans for your research study. So unless the plan these, you cannot do your research, you cannot justify your research. This is my point. And then, yeah, literature review. Yeah, literature review is nothing but process and product. So what the process is nothing but the continuation. You do the continuation from selecting the title, from reading the books. Okay, before selecting the title, you read so many books. You collect some materials, and then your doing research takes place as a process. Then the process leads to the product. The product leads to the conclusion. So the product and the conclusion must be used by the people in society. So that's why I told you earlier that your research must be used for the society of any kind. Society in the sense, right from the childhood to the, what should I say, the age-old people, we have the society. So you, who is your targeting people and the audience and other things you must calculate for doing the research. And doing and creating literature review is nothing but doing and creating. It's like a process and the product of the research, the doing process, the doing of research, and then the creation is taking place. A literature review is the process of searching for, reading, summarizing, and synthesizing existing work on a topic, or the resulting written summary of the research. So written summary of the research in the sense synthesizing. You're going to synthesize. Okay. So in this particular point, what I tell is thesis, antithesis. Finally, we have synthesis. It's a kind of Hegel's, Erich Hegel's ideology. He is a philosopher, and his ideology is the dialectical materialism, that is thesis, antithesis. Finally, we have synthesis. The same topic, that is the dialectical materialism, is applied in the Marxian thought. Okay, in the Marxian thought, it was applied. The upper class, lower class, and then the classless society. The same can be matched together to say a few things about the synthesizers. I am summarizing and reading more points on the topic which you are going to do your research. The, as I told you earlier, that is the existing work on a topic in which you are going to do your research. This is the statement given by Adler and Clark. Okay. And then it results in a comprehensive overview of the previous research on a topic as related to your research question. So here you find that what is a literature review? People say that they are not able to understand. Some people, I am talking about some people, they are not understanding what is a review of literature. They think that my guide and my supervisor asked me to read so many books on the particular topic and how I have come out with novelty or new ideas, all these things. That's why I'm doing my doing the review of literature, people say. But it is not that. You are not doing the justification for your research. But here, what I tell you is the comprehensive. You find that it's a beautiful word. Here, it is a comprehensible and comprehensive overview of the previous research. So you're going to give a comprehensive view about the previous research through your review of literature. You have collected at least 10 more books or 10 more research articles in published on the very good journals like what should I say, the good impact factor. And then you can give your view and how that previous study is your research question. Okay. And then you find, my dear friends, yeah, here you have that yeah, literature review in order to learn more about your topic. People, those who are doing the research, must have the review of literature. Primarily, this is the primary and fundamental step to do your research. In my point of view, and not only in my point of view, is but also in other researchers' mentality and the great research scientists, they say that the review of literature is highly important. Okay, how you are going to do your research, it will tell you that. Yeah, literature review will tell you that how you are going to do your research. Either it is what is a quantitative or qualitative or mixed method, or is it for the society or any other people, and these things will give you in the beginning itself. So when you have all these things as a mind map, surely you're able to complete your research properly. The next thing is a research purpose statement. You find that specify the purpose or objective of the research. So you must be able to specify the purpose or objective of the research. So you cannot give the sweeping statement of your research. I could find, I could see some of the research people, the researchers, they give the sweeping statements. So this and that and all that, I speak, I do my research in that way and that way, in this way, like that. No, but because it is a kind of logic, it is a kind of a science. Research is a kind of a science. So you should not say that I'm doing my research in social sciences, sociology, anything can be done. Psychology, anything can be done. In literature, anything can be done. Not like that. If you say like that, your research should be null and void, I tell you today. So specify the purpose or objective of the research. And then information about the research topic or the problem. So how you are going to do your research through the information or the problem. Then the participants are data, the setting, and the methodology. So here, participants are very important because they are the owner of your research, participants. If the participants are not able to understand your questionnaire, if they give the false information or false data, there will be the false result, and the result will be something null and void. So that the participants must understand what you are going to do and the research. The data is very important because you are collecting data from the participants, the target participants. And then the setting in the sense in which area you are going to select for your research. For literature, you can have the American literature, British literature, Canadian literature, and Sri Lankan and Indian writings in English. And you find there are so many literature, that is what we call that setting. But here in business people, you can have that as the setting will be the corporate industry or non-corporate industry or NGOs, or all these things are there. And then methodology is also very important because you find nowadays most of the people, they go in for the mixed method for having a great understanding of your research. And methods of data collection, generation, and guiding theories. So now people can have the guiding theories. Guiding theories in the sense, any theory that may be matched with your research purpose or research statement or research problem or research hypothesis. The same guiding theory can be utilized in your research. And then you can, use your research through the guiding theories. Yeah. I would like to tell you the about the hypothesis. Some people can say that I can give at least 20 hypotheses or 30 hypotheses or more than 10 hypotheses. But it is utterly waste, I tell you today. You can give at least 3 or more hypotheses or 5 hypotheses. I mean, you should be very, what should I say? The hypothesis should be limited. You need not to extend your hypothesis. Whenever you extend your hypothesis into 6 or 7 or 8, 9, 10, and it goes like that, you are not able to comprehend and conclude the hypothetical statements, and you cannot relate all the points that you are doing in your research with the hypothetical elements. Okay, so this is the point I tell you. And then null hypothesis, which means no significant difference between two groups with respect to the variable being tested. So you find that there is no significant difference. Clearly, I tell you, there is no clear significant, there is no proper difference between two groups of the variables being tested. It is not necessary to be a significant difference. Okay, this is what we call null hypothesis. And then the next hypothesis is directional hypothesis. The directional hypothesis is there should be a specific difference between two groups with respect to the variables being tested. When you test the variables, as I told you earlier, variable is a value. Variable is nothing but a value. When you do the variable or valuable, there should be a measurable quantity. Okay, so the all the measurable quantities will be the variables, because you can count, you can test, you can collect, you can choose, you can make use of them for your research. That's why directional hypothesis is highly welcome by the researchers and the supervisors. And the non-directional hypothesis. The non-directional hypothesis is, you find that a difference between two groups with respect to the variable being tested, but not what the difference will be. You find that it is a somewhat vague statement it pronounces. The vague understanding. The non-directional hypothesis is there will be a difference. The difference between two groups and the groups with respect to the variables being tested, but there should be no difference. Okay, and the difference in the sense what the difference will be. When you say what the difference will be, you find out the difference, you understand the difference, you come out with the proper difference. But here in the non-directional hypothesis, there is no proper and specific difference is measured, but the variables are being tested, the values are being tested, but not that what the difference will be. So this is what we call non-directional hypothesis. Null hypothesis, directional hypothesis, and non-directional hypothesis. So we must understand that the directional hypothesis is a welcome, and also we need to stick on to the directional hypothesis for your research study, because you have the specific difference and the variables are being tested. According to the directional hypothesis, if you give at least 3 or 4 or 5 hypotheses, your thesis will be justifiable. Your thesis will be something very good. rather than the null hypothesis and non-directional hypothesis. Okay, yes. The next thing is five major approaches to research. There are five approaches, the major approaches. Number one is quantitative research. Okay, the quantitative research and the qualitative research, mixed method research, MMR. We can call that MMR. And then arts-based research, ABR. That's what we call ABR. Then community-based participatory research, CBPR. So these are all the major approaches to research. Yeah, what is quantitative research? Now we can pass on to the quantitative research is a deductive approach to the research process. You are going to find out, deduction in the sense you are going to find out. And you're going to prove the statement and prove the problem statement. And sometimes your research may disprove the existing system, existing concept, existing ideology. And it is to lend credence to the existing theories sometimes. And this quantitative research brings out the involvements of the measuring variables and testing relationship between variables in order to reveal patterns, correlations, causal relationships. So all these are measured. Okay, that's what we call quantitative research. So for this method, with the quantitative research, we have the methods like linear methods of data collection, analysis that result in statistical data. So that's why we can use that the software called the SPSS software, and you can use generally you can use the Excel format and ANOVA research software, and then linear methods of data collection. The proper linear methods in the sense all on a sudden you cannot give irrelevant questions. The questions or the questionnaire should be relevant to the participants. This is what we call the linear method of data collection. All on a sudden you cannot collect the data for your research. And then we have the values. After the research, that is the quantitative research, and doing the methods, we have the values. The values will be neutrality and objectivity. The acquisition of a sizable scope of knowledge. Okay, so this is what we call, there should be a value in your research. That's what we talk about, the purpose of your research. How your research is going to, or what today is useful to the society. The values, you find that the neutrality in the sense, it is not for biased approach. The unbiased approach, you find when we have the neutrality, the proper and objective of the research is completed. The justifiable research is completed. This is what we call the values, the objectivity. Then the second one is qualitative research. It's a kind of inductive approach to knowledge building to generate meaning. The Leeway says in 2014, it is to generate meaning. Generate meaning in the sense, through your research, you are going to create something new and new and newer and newest. And you are going to explore. Exploration is taking place. Even in research, the fundamental point is to explore. I understand. Anybody can understand. Anybody can speak as such. But here, exclusively, you're going to give the exploration by producing meaning generation. This is what we call the qualitative research. And it is to investigate about the social phenomenon and to unpack the meanings of the people ascribed to activities situations, events, artifacts to build a depth understanding about the dimension of the research. You find, my dear being the participants here, the social phenomenon and the social phenomena are being investigated, and it is to unpack the meanings. Unpack, which means to find out the opening. Okay. And what is the value of this quantitative research? The subjective experiences and meaning making process and acquiring a depth of understanding. But what I tell you that uh, in this qualitative research, rather than quantitative research, we have the subjective experience is there. The people's subjective experiences. The people can have their own experience. So each and everyone has his own experience. His experience is projected like anything through the questions. And the meaning making process is also taking place. So this is what we call that the qualitative research. And number third is mixed method research, MMR. It is to collect and analyzing. It is to collect the data, and finally you have the analyze the data that you have collected. Mixed method. And the quantitative and qualitative data in a single project. So in a project, people, I mean, a supervisor and the examiner can say that what is your method? You can say that quantitative method, either qualitative method. But nowadays, in the 21st century, in the fourth industrial revolution, when we have the artificial intelligence, we can have that quantitative and qualitative data in a single project. It is acceptable. But people can say that it is not acceptable. But I tell you that according to the 21st century, okay, it is acceptable. That is the quantitative and qualitative data in a single project. And then quantitative phase influencing the qualitative phase, vice versa. Sometimes qualitative can cause the quantitative, quantitative can cause the qualitative, and the vice versa. So it depends upon the researcher, how the researcher is going to take part in the research activity. And then used in applied social and behavioral science research. So this mixed method research is used in the applied social and behavioral science research. It is nothing but the socio-psychology or psychology and sociology. So this is the mixed method. And then you have the fourth one is arts-based research, ABR. The ABR is nothing but the creative arts and the social research projects. The creative arts. Sometimes it cannot be measured. Okay. The exactness in art is very difficult. In a research, we find the exactness. Okay. The exact point of view and also the exact result, the exact analysis should be made in a research. But here in the art-based research, the creativity is taking place. When there is a creativity, there is no proper format because it is a creative writing, the creative art. When you have the creative art, there is no room for the exactness, the logic, the reason, the cause and effect, and all these things. But still people accept that creative arts in a social research project. Okay, because sometimes the creative arts can bring out a novel idea. Okay, novel idea, novel concept, novel solution to the problem, a novel identification. These may take place in art-based research. This is what that's why some of the researchers accept the art-based research. That is what we call in the abbreviated form, that is ABR. Theory and practice are intertwined. As I told you earlier, yes, the theory and practice are intertwined. In quantitative or qualitative, we have only one. Either it is a theory or practice. But here in the art-based research, we have a theory and practice are intertwined. Arts-based practices draw on literary writing, music, dance, and performance, and everything. You find that. Okay, but here it is for the novelty, novel idea. Say, for example, if a person is psychologically disturbed, if a person is in a swinging mood, okay, some type of music and writing or picture and visual art, the performance or else the dance may give a positive result upon a psychologically disturbed person. That's why arts-based research is also accepted, because theory and practice are intertwined. Especially, it is a draw on literary writing, music, dance, performance, visual art, and film, and so on. And then it is a kind of inquiry process at the center and value aesthetic understanding. Aesthetic understanding, you find that it is for the sake of beauty. It's for the sake of beauty, in the sense when you look at a beautiful statue or beautiful painting, your heart and your what should I say, mind will be something very light. Okay, for that purpose, people are doing the research. The literary people, they do the research. The music people, they do the research. And then it is to its purpose is to explore, describe, evoke, and provoke. That's the point here. Evoke and provoke, in the sense, I tell you here one more adjective here: emotional and emotive. Emotive is also a kind of a adjective, and emotional is also an adjective. Okay, but here you find that emotive, that means a language or any word or any utterance can carry certain effects upon the participants, the or else the audience, or else the onlookers, and so on. But emotional, in the sense how the performer uses his own gesture, hand gesture, okay, and facial expression, and so on. Both emotive and emotional are also they're also taking a vital part in this art-based research. Okay, it is to provoke. I told you that it is to provoke, in the sense your thought is provoked, your psychological problem is defaced. Okay, so that's why we have that arts-based research. The next one is, the last one is, we find that community-based participatory research, CBPR. It's the collaboration partnerships between researcher and non-academic stakeholders. Its purpose is to promote a community change or action. So this is nowadays welcomed by most of the researchers, because the researchers, they are doing through the academic point of view. In the academic point of view, the researcher can collect data, they can analyze the data, and then they can find out and bring out a conclusion or the solution or the results. But the results and the process of doing research can be associated with the non-academic stakeholders. Say, for example, if I am a teacher, I do my research with the street vendor. Okay, with the street vendor or a flower vendor on the street. Okay, or else the entrepreneur. Okay, the entrepreneur, nowadays we find that the electropreneur. Okay, so you find all these things are taking place. So the non-academic people and the stakeholders are associated with the researchers of academic person, and then there will be a collaboration partnership between these two, because to promote community change. Community change is a separate study, I tell you today. There is an action. There is an action, in the sense you find that the action must be something, uh, what should I say? There will be a change in the society. That's why I have used that change or action, not change and action, but change or action. So the action can be taken place in the society, and in the change can be taken place in society. And this is what we call that a promotion of a community change. This is the purpose of the community-based participatory research. So this is totally and directly relevant to the people, rather than the other researches like quantitative and qualitative and mixed method and all these things. You keep all these aside, except this one, the fifth one, that is the community-based participatory research. This is the collaboration between the academic researchers and non-academic stakeholders, because the academic researchers, they straight away, they keep in touch with the non-academic people, and then they do their research in a field. They find a solution to change the community, or else promote the community, or else to give the action in the community. This is what we call the community-based participatory research, CBPR. The main elements of research. There are three main elements of the research. You find that: philosophical, praxis, ethical. So this a table is given by Levy in 2014. The elements of research. The number one is philosophical. Under this philosophical, we have the paradigm shift. Paradigm shift in the sense, suddenly it will change through your research, because you will understand the basic element of the research and how it is going to complete the research, how you are going to find out a problem and find out a solution, and all these things are there. Under this philosophical, we have that ontology. Ontology is nothing but the study of existing things. The study of existing things, you are going to do your research. I tell you, the non-existing things, you are not going to do the research, but only on the existing things you are going to do the research. That's why we have the philosophical idea in research. And the epistemology. Epistemology is a scientific study about knowledge. Knowledge, philosophy, it's the philo is nothing but love. Sophie is a kind of a wisdom. The lover of wisdom is called a philosopher. Okay, so the philosophical, in the sense, the wisdom and knowledge and love is also prevalent in the ontology, epistemology, and paradigm. And the next one is praxis. In the praxis, you have design. It may be a genre or a method or practices. It may be a theory. And then ethics. You find the philosophical and the praxis. Both are there in ethics. So when you do the research, you must have a ethics first of all. Say, for example, if you want to do your research on any animal, you should not inflict the pain on animal. Okay, so you need to get the permission from the Ministry of Animal and the other resources, the environmental issues. You find that. Okay, because it is also a kind of a life. So there should be a kind of ethics. You need not to, what should I say, all of a sudden, what should I disclose the people, those who have given the data and so on. So the Data Privacy Act is to be implemented in the ethics. Under the ethics, you need to implement the data privacy ethics. Then the values, how you are going to do, and what are the values of the research. Finally, you have the reflexivity. So these are all the main elements of research. Ethics involves that morality, integrity, fairness, and morality is also about knowing what is right and wrong, and integrity. So you are doing research. For doing research, you cannot inflict any animal. Okay. So you cannot administer any poison to any animal or any creature and so on. So that is not that the right way of doing research. Even if you want to do the research properly, you must get the permission from the concerned department. If the permission is not given, you should not take up the research. It is prohibited. So that's why for doing research, ethics is very, very important. You cannot say that, say, for example, if a person is not willing to give answers to your questionnaire, you just take back and withdraw your questionnaire. But you should not compel the person, you should give the answer to my questionnaire and so on. Otherwise, I will not go back from this place. These, the non, I mean, nuisance you should not create when you do the research. Okay, so this is the point that I would like to make. And then you have that the Jean's designs and research methods practice, the experiments, randomized, single and survey research. You have the questionnaires, interview, the structured and semi-structured in-depth history, biographical, field research, the participants' observation, and unobtrusive method. You find that content analysis, document analysis, visual analysis, and then case study, single case, and then you find that self data, that while you find the self data, no, ethnography. Okay, ethnography, that means the people's living place, the, what should I say, the different people and how they are living in a different situation. This is what we call that the ethnography. And then mixed method, and then literary practices and performative practices, visual art practices, and community based, that is what we saw, that the participatory method and so on. Yeah, with this I complete my today's session. So thank you very much. If you have any question or any query, please let me know.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in the last slide, there is a topic you have mentioned about literary practice, and there is under you have mentioned about the experimental writing. What is the
Yeah.
meaning here? Say in literary practice writing.
Yeah. Could you please once again tell me your question?
So,
Uh,
what is the meaning here? The experimental writing in literary practice.
in literary practice, the experimental writing, your
Right.
yeah, in literary practice, the experimentation in the sense, you go and analyze the concept that you have taken from the literary point of view. That point can be utilized and analyzed through the people. Okay, in a particular community, in a particular people, in a particular dialectic people or idiolectic people and so on. So this is what we call that experimentation. The experimentation also can be taken place even in literature, because the concept that you have taken from the novel or from the any literary writing, the same concept can be applied in a socio a psychosocial practice or in a sociology. Sociology is nothing but the people, those who are living in a community. So in the community, you can ask the question, okay, like a questionnaire. Then you can apply the same result and the data analysis. Then you can apply in your research of literature.
Okay. Then we
The
have to prepare
concept
some
is
kind
very
of
important.
questionnaire.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sir, we have to prepare for this type of research questionnaires, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can have, if it is necessary, you can have a questionnaire
Mm.
also. You can have the interview, you can have recording. Okay, you can go and meet the people and you can interact with them. So that's why I told you that the mixed method is right now, it is blooming like anything, is a mushrooming like anything.
Okay, okay. Suppose, sir, we are going to do work on a intoxication, na use of intoxication in literature. Suppose
Yeah.
we are to this matter. So
Okay.
we go for the survey method. We want to go for the experimental method. For
Yeah,
that,
we
we
can
have to
go.
prepare questionnaires.
Yeah, definitely. We can prepare through the psychological questions. And is there any other theory which is related to psychology that is talking about the intoxication? And then you can prepare questionnaire based on that theory. Theory should be, what should I say, accommodated. Okay, theory should be accommodated. The theory of psychology, it can be accommodated. What you are talking about, the intoxication, is nothing but the theory of psychology, and how the psychology of the people, those who are intoxicated, that are used in your research. So it can be used. See, in my thesis, I have drawn so many pictures. I have drawn so many pictures in the tables in literature. I have given the tables, the pictures, and the pie charts, and so on. Because if it is necessary, if you think that it is effective, you can go in for that. So there is no proper definition for research across the globe, I tell you today.
Okay, sir. Sir, what was the topic of your research?
Mine is postmodernism.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
yeah, thank you. Is any question or any discussion or anything that you would like to say, or what should I say, your point of view? Yes, the organizer is there. Jaflet Reza.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Thank you very much for being with us here today and giving us a wonderful session. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So, we are moving on to the second section, and the second section is handled by Dr. S. Vijay Kumar. And I would like to call upon Dr. Jehoson Jiresh, the Assistant Professor of English, Department of English and Cultural Studies in Christ University, Bangalore, India, to give a brief introduction about the speaker. And I request him to be the moderator of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It's a good evening, and good evening to all the scholarly audience present in this virtual platform. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Vijay Kumar, Associate Professor of English from B.S. Abdul Rahman University, Chennai. And to talk about him, I have a personal, friendship or scholarly friendship for the past 2-3 years. Though virtually we have not met each other, I was able to know quite a lot of things about him, his scholarly pursuits, research endeavors, and his passion for taking teaching and research to the next level. in his pursuit for excellence. So here are a few highlights from his illustrates academic career for the past 2 decades. Dr. Vijay Kumar has expertise in both language and literature, as he has got a postgraduate degree in both linguistics and language. And of course, his PhD was in English language teaching. Being an voracious reader and a scholar and teaching for the past 15 years, he has he has got several publication under his name, and especially the book publications he has done is of interesting discourses, especially in theories in language and literature, research practices in computer assisted language learning, 50 classroom activities, a resource book for teachers, and technology enhanced approach to facilitate writing skills at the tertiary level, or a few of his books. And he has also co-authored many books, and co-authored and authored book chapters in journals and books of international repute, along with the other uh, article publications. And he his continuous professional development, his endeavors in terms of continuous professional development is seen in his pursuit for knowledge, as he has completed a lot of online programs, MOOC, massive online open access courses over the years. Even I could read from his profile that even before the COVID break, that was the time many scholars started taking online courses. But he has started it even before that, even since 2012 or 13, if I'm right. He has started taking online courses from universities of international repute, and platforms, online learning platforms that are found all around the world. So that shows his unquenchable thirst for learning, and he transfers that into knowledge in his classroom and also in his research as well. Most of his research productions and classroom teaching productions are found online. It's indeed a honor and privilege for the scholarly audience here to listen to him. I'm sure that his deliberations in the next 1 hour will be of great use to the participants present here. With these words, I conclude my introduction, and I request Dr. Vijay Kumar to take us forward in the next 1 hour for his uh, deliberations on his chosen topic. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I think sir is not able to unmute. The organizers, do we have the microphone control with the admin? If yes, kindly unmute.
कुछ याद भी नहीं रहती बात करते करते।
Hello.
Sir, his microphone is actually unmute. I guess there's some technical issue that side. His microphone is unmute. It's not muted.
Okay, ma'am. We'll try connecting with him through a phone call. Check what's.
Okay, sir.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm extremely sorry. Hello, good evening, everybody. Hi, Dr. Jirish. Thank you for that fine introduction.
Hello, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure, Jirish, meeting you. But there's some kind of technical issues. I'm quite sorry for making you all wait. I don't know what's the problem. But there's no problem from my end. It was unmuted, but I wonder what happened. But anyway, it was so nice meeting you. And first of all, I would like to thank Joyson for inviting me to this, conference, as well as Jirish for that fine introduction. So I was actually given half an hour. So I would just like to focus on three objectives, three specific objectives. Of course, I had a presentation, but then I couldn't, use my system and share it with you. So I would just make it very interactive and share these three objectives. My three objectives for the day are, first of all, I would just like to focus on how to formulate a proper research question that is innovative. And there is a particular framework for that. And that framework is called as FINER. I would just focus on that. My second objective for the day is, how to formulate a proper research objectives using simple framework. There is a framework called simple framework, which stands for specific, immediate, measurable, practical, logical, and evaluatable. So my topic is entitled how to write a captivating introduction for your thesis. First of all, when we choose a research topic, there is something called the search engine optimization. And this is the beginning point of any research, wherein you establish your novelty. Let me tell you what search engine optimization is. And usually, that is called the international benchmarking for selecting a suitable topic. And the search engine optimization is, suppose you choose a topic for your research. You will just go and Google your topic, and you have to make sure that those specific keywords are not found in any of the previous studies. Or if there are any specific key terms which are already existing, there should be at least one new construct in your topic. And this is how you establish your research topic. So that is my objective one. How can we make a topic appealing? How can we make our topic interesting? How can we establish niche in our topic? And how can we uh, establish the newness and make sure that we contribute something significantly, both in terms of pedagogy or in terms of epistemology or in terms of ontology. Depends on the kind of research design we choose. So that is my objective one. How do you choose a suitable research title pertaining to your domain, and how do you establish your novelty? So in my short talk, I would just like to make it a talk because I don't have a slide. My second agenda is how to formulate a proper research question to leverage your entire work. Because research questions are like the lighthouse. You can find the answers, but it all boils down to raise proper questions. Because when you raise proper questions, you will definitely find the searching and the perfect answers. So successful research all boils down to raising suitable research questions and research objectives. So these are the three broad, or I should say, I won't say broad, specific aspects that I want to discuss. And the outcome of my talk today is, by the end of my half an hour talk, if you can have three key takeaways and evaluate your work, you please evaluate your work and check out if your work falls in these three ambits. Ambit number one is my topic novel? Two, are my research questions quite interesting? And three, are my objectives uh, or my objective is clear enough? So these are the three aspects of my talk today. So let me start with how to select a suitable topic and how to establish your niche in the topic that you choose. So first of all, when we establish novelty and when you choose a suitable topic, uh, there are topics which are really repetitive. For instance, I am working on ELT, English language teaching. From 1967 or 70s, this task-based approach was very popular. And even I see a thesis today on task-based approach or communicative language teaching or literary thesis for that matter. Terminology is repeated again and again, very broad themes. So how to make our themes very narrow? And this is where interdisciplinary research plays a key role, not only in terms of choosing a suitable topic, but it gives you ample scope of impactful research and also ample scope for very good publications. So the first thing is, I'm sure that all of you will have a topic. How do you test if your topic is a very novel topic? You should just make a simple search, type in all the keywords of your topic, and if you find those topics again and again, or if you find the topic which was already been worked on by previous researchers, then your topic is not a novel topic. So this is the first experimentation you should do. If you had selected a topic, you should just go and make a simple Google search, what you call as SEO, search engine optimization, to find out. And there should be at least one interesting variable in your topic that could be really appealing, or else you will be reinventing the wheel. So this is one important thing that you should remember. So right now, your take home activity could be, just go type your topic in Google or any other search engines and check out if those kind of research has already been done. Two, if you find volume of work which has already been done, a plethora of earlier studies, then definitely you are reinventing the wheel. Two, if you find some studies which are really sporadic, some researchers which have already worked on your areas, but you don't find so many work, but a few work not exactly on your lines, then you would definitely make a significant contribution to your research. This is step A. So A, decide whether your topic is novel, whether it is new, and make an SEO search. And it's quite suitable not only for formulating a research topic, but also for writing a research paper. This applies to writing a research paper as well. So that is step which you can do a kind of an self-check. By the end of the day, you can just go and do a self-check. That is one. Number two, after selecting a suitable topic, there is something called as novelty in research. Suppose we communicate to journals, and nowadays all universities, there's a benchmarking that you have to publish in indexed journals. When I say indexed journals, either in Web of Science or Scopus. The reason why most of us are not able to publish, or why most of the papers don't see daylight in highly impactful journals, are they don't meet up with the basic criteria of establishing novelty in that topic. So there are a lot of nitty gritties. So let me focus on two or three nitty gritties. And number one is, as I said, topic. So, find that you have a suitable topic. Okay. And then second thing which I would like to tell you is formulating a good research question. I'm sure all of you will have research questions for your area of research, but there is a particular framework for the research questions. This is called as the finer maps. There is a particular framework called finer, FINER. F stands for, suppose you frame a research question. Like I'm a researcher who is working on medical humanities. I find a lot of scope for publication. So I want to work on medical humanities. Let us say I'm working on an area called storytelling to reduce stress. There could be a lot of research on storytelling to reduce research. But if I want to do something groundbreaking, I have to try some novel concepts either in digital humanities or medical humanities, which are really evolving concepts. So what I should do first of all is I have to formulate a research question. First of all, is my research question feasible? I have to make my question feasible. When I say feasible, sometimes we formulate a research question and it's not possible for you to complete your research in a span of 3 to 4 years. And the questions will be so voluminous that you can't find answers. The questions may not be too specific and they may be too broad. So A, is your question quite feasible? So that is something that you have to establish. When I say feasible, how long is it going to take for me to find answers to these research questions? So is my research question feasible? Two, I'm just using a framework called a FINER. F stands for feasible, I stands for interesting, N stands for novel, E stands for ethical, and R stands for relevant. When you have a suitable topic and to leverage your topic, if you have this five aspects of your research questions, you are making the second step right. First step, you have formed a research question. Second step, now, what do you mean by feasibility? Sometimes you work on areas which may take years for you to complete. Secondly, is it interesting? Interesting for whom? Is it interesting for the supervisor? Should it be interesting for the researcher, or should be interesting for the target audience? So it's a fine line. Actually, you need to balance these three aspects. First of all, it should be interesting for you, because only then you can keep the passion alive till you complete your dissertation. So firstly, you should find it interesting. And of course, the research guide also should find it equally appealing. And how will it be appealing, and how will both you, the research supervisor, and the audience, when will all the three of you find it appealing? All the three of you will find it appealing only if the research questions are interesting. So that is second thing. One, feasible. Is it practically possible to do the research? Two, is it interesting? Three, is it novel? What are the ways to establish novelty? Now, in social sciences research, probably life sciences research, cancer research, or medical research, people can often come out with groundbreaking findings. But how can a student from literature, how can a student from language, how can a student from linguistics establish novelty? So, this is something that I would like to focus on. The first way to establish novelty is you can attempt interdisciplinary fields. For example, you may be working on a hardcore literature. For example, let's say you choose the trauma theory to study the characters of Bharati Mukherjee. See, trauma theory is a theory which is mainstream literature. But if you can go out of your mainstream literature and pick theories from the field of applied psychology and plonk it into literature and leverage your discussion, then it becomes interdisciplinary. Or you can try some sister disciplinary areas. What do I mean by sister disciplinary research? Your research could be a combination of key concepts from mainstream literature and language teaching. So combining both these fields are called as sister disciplinary research, a research which is a combination of literature and maybe language teaching. Teaching language to literature. There are a lot of work on these areas. These research we call as sister disciplinary research. And there is one more aspect of research, what we call as transdisciplinary. Suppose I choose from an unexpected domain. Now, look, I'm working on a particular research area which is purely medical oriented. I'm going to give you an example. Right now, I'm working on a research project which I have actually patented, and that project is on the art of storytelling. Now, you may be wondering, how can you patent something so simple on art of storytelling? Now, but this is an interdisciplinary project with some doctors in the field of medical humanities. Now, I'm using this storytelling to reduce stress to patients. So, this training is a collaborative research which has been done to a group of nurses. So, how do we measure stress? We don't measure stress by questionnaires, which we do in, you know, social sciences research. And if I write papers to top journals like Elsevier, they will right away reject my design if I write a paper based on questionnaire. So I do a test for them before my study, which is called as a saliva test for stress. So I do for some 30, nurses. And then we do certain narratology. Narratology is a theory from literature. You might, some of you are working in a mainstream literature may know that. So I'm working on a theory called narratology, and using this theory and narratology, I am doing this activity of storytelling to reduce stress in the patients. And I am doing this narratology technique with a group of 30 patients or 30 nurses. You can, it is conducted in two phases, a nurses training, or directly you can do patient training. To another group, I'm doing the same storytelling technique without the elements of narratology. And I do a saliva test to test their stress levels. And after the storytelling, we just measure their stress level. And this is how you can patent a project. Like, you can just, as students of literature, as students of ELT, you can enter into the field of medical humanities and you can patent it. So how can you patent it? That's the point I'm making essentially today. The point is, if you wish to really make some groundbreaking research, you have to cut across disciplines. You have to move from one discipline to another. Only then you can frame a suitable title. Now, my reflection to all of you is, all the researchers, are you working on mundane topics, or is your topic at least sister disciplinary or co-disciplinary or multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary? So you ask yourself the question. And today I had no another researcher who has patented an hardcore literary and linguistic research, and it is possible. For example, I'll give you another example. In the field of artificial intelligence, what you call AI, developing algorithms, developing a corpus linguistics, a corpus data. You can collaborate with any field, with computer science. Today, you have certain fields called NLP, neuro linguistic programming, natural language processing. If you are working on those elements in your research, you can definitely patent in your work, A. And B, secondly, you can publish in top-notch journals such as Wiley, Routledge, and Elsevier. You might be wondering, because this was really very, very difficult for us in the first phase of our literary career, because we published in a lot of journals. But when we reflected on what we published down the line after 10 years, if you revisit your publications, it's all crap. There are no citations. It's only you who have read the work. Others have not cited your work. Then you wonder, what is the point in publication? You publish something. Is it for your self gratification? Is it to boast that you have made a publication? Is it something egoistical to show that you have done? That doesn't work. Research is not that. Research is, you make a significant contribution to the society, which has some kind of social impact. So you don't do research in order to cater to your ego or to show that you have a PhD degree, but to really make a significant contribution. And today in my talk, I'm just driving home the point that it is possible for a person who is working on mainstream literature and ELT to make such significant contributions, to publish in such high impact factor journals, to get your work patented. Is when I say that I get my work patented, it's not that to just brag, but it's to say that it is possible for everyone. And to just look at many of my publications today, I really feel ashamed, but because they don't have any citations, I've just published. So point number one, how good your topic is. Is your topic uh, you know co-disciplinary, sister disciplinary, multidisciplinary, or transdisciplinary? So that is my objective one. I hope I have touched on objective one. I know it's very difficult to do that in a half an hour talk. We'll be biting more than what we chew. But ultimately, the bottom line that I wish to emphasize is, choose a topic which is very, very novel. Do a search engine optimization and choose a topic. And if your topic is really novel, you can even patent the topic. How many of you here, researchers, know? Because we have this culture in our university. After you choose a particular topic, that topic is your copyright. Now, let us say you registered for your research in 2015, and you complete 2023. You complete in 2030. 7 years down the line, a lot of people will do your research. But by the time you registered for your research, your topic would be very novel. After 2 or 3 years, it will become very obsolete. So that is why you need to patent your topic. That patent is possible if you do something very creative, impactful research. You can go and patent it. Even 7 years down the line, if somebody who completes the PhD after registering and before you complete, if they complete and that claim that your work is my replica, you can avoid embarrassment by stating that you have already patented your work in 2023. So that is my copyright. It's my novelty. So you can claim. The point I wish to make is that ELT researchers, literature researchers can claim that your work is your work. You are the one who conceived upon that idea. So my gentle reflection to all of you is, are you doing research so deeply? Is your topic so novel? Is your topic so trenchant? Is your topic transdisciplinary? Is your topic multidisciplinary? Do you have different constructs in your topic? Are you going to make a significant contribution to the society? A. So this is my objective A. I believe in the short span of time, I have touched upon the objective A, and I'm moving to objective B. I would just very quickly focus only on objective B, and throw some questions open, because I think the organizers should tell me, because the time given to me is half an hour, and exactly I'd just like to of course I was asked to join at 6:30, so exactly I would like to finish, but I would like to leave the floor open to a lot of questions in terms of patenting your work, in terms of how you can also tell me your topics. I can ensure that you can bring some new constructs to your topic. So objective 2. Now think of this. Think of your research questions. Now, I told you all to think of your research topic. Now think of your research questions. I told you a research question should be finer. By F, I meant feasible. By I meant interesting. And by N, I meant novel. And I told you what are the ways to establish novelty. I have been harping on establishing novelty for so long. And then, is it ethical? E stands for ethical. What do you mean by ethical? Sometimes people who work on, today we have a lot of AI tools. You can write a thesis using AI. I'm sure that everybody is familiar with the Chat GPT. I recently read an article in Science Direct. There was one article written by Subramaniam. He was the first author. If you see who is the second author, the second author is Chat GPT. You can just check out in Elsevier. And Elsevier has broken new grounds by, authoring Chat GPT as the second author. And today you have some journals, and the journal says, if you use artificial intelligence to write, you should say in what capacity you use the artificial intelligence, why you use artificial intelligence. Again, I have another researcher in my university who was working on science, who used an AI tool to write a paper. And quickly the journals identified, okay, this was written in AI style. There's something fishy about this paper. It does not have an SVO pattern. Sometimes there are needless verbal crutches. There are sometimes needless additional expressions. So today research has become very easy. I'm sure that some of you will be using Chat GPT or Quillboot or AI tools to write. But it all boils down to ethics in research. Ethics, probably you can use those AI tools to facilitate your work, but you don't use it as a kind of a crutch where you don't use it to as a substitute for your creativity. So be very careful on using these AI tools. So by research questions, that is what I meant by ethical. Is your research ethical? So that is the question of ethics. And then relevant. Is your question relevant? To whom is it relevant? Is it relevant to the scientific fraternity? Is there enough scope for future research? Is it relevant to the significant contribution that you are making to the field? When we talk about contribution, how can literary students make contribution? How can ELT students make contribution? So your contribution could happen at a policy level. Your contribution can happen at an epistemological level. Especially people who are working on theories, you can contribute to the theoretical level. How? If you can club 2 or 3 theories. See, you may be asking, as students of literature, how can we make such significant contributions? You are talking about novelty, you are talking about feasibility, you are talking about newness. How is it possible in a literature research? One researcher asked me this question. Of course, it is possible. The only way you can make it possible in a literature research is you have to actually club 2 or 3 theories. like that is called as theoretical contribution. I think students of literature can only make theoretical contribution. But people from the students of who, if there are some students from the field of linguistics, from the field of science, we can make epistemological, ontological contributions. We can even make societal contributions. Suppose you are designing a new theory. Suppose you are designing a new pedagogy. Suppose you're designing a new model. Suppose you are using a new technology nobody has used before. I think you can come out with some groundbreaking research and state that this is contribution. So there are different researchers here. I would like to emphasize what is your contribution. I want you to reflect on three things today. I think with this, I would just end my short talk. As I said, my agenda is a very simple agenda, and I actually had made it a talk because these days, people, unless a talk is complemented by PPT and multimedia input, it is very hard to digest the information. Just because it was a technical glitch, I had to really change my plan and just make it very focused by focusing only on two or three questions, like how to frame a suitable, how to choose a suitable topic for your area of research, and then how to frame a suitable research question. So these were my two agenda that I had today, and I hope to a certain extent I had done justice to it. So essentially, what I was telling you today is how you can make a significant contribution to your research. So I would just like to end my talk. Just given half an hour, I think I have spilled it beyond 5 minutes. If there is time, if the organizers do permit me, or if they give me some time to take up any questions, I'll be glad to take it. And once again, I would like to really, thank my friend Joyson, and I would equally like to thank the one whom I had known, as he said, for a couple of years, and for the gracious introduction, Dr. Jirish. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for that fine introduction. It was really a privilege talking with you, and thank you. If you have any questions, I'm open to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Before my words of appreciations on your talk, I would like to tell you that since you'll be the last speaker for the day, so we can have as many questions as we can. That's what the organizers told me just now. So that even I thought, people, participants will be having more questions in this particular deliberation. So we can extend the discussion for the next 10-15 minutes or so as well. And personally, I would like to thank Dr. Joyson for inviting me to chair this session, because it was a great learning experience for me at the first place, I would say. And this was an example. See, we think of technology overtaking human beings and all that. Even the very presentation is an example of how technology and a teacher or a human being can work together. Now, even in the absence of technology, Dr. Vijay Kumar was able to engage the audience for 30 or 40 minutes or so in a very lively and intriguing manner. So that shows the importance of embracing technology, and at the same time not losing our individual critical and creative acumen. So certain insights that he gave was really interesting, especially on Chat GPT becoming the second author of a scientific production and all that, because quite often there is always a resistance to technology. Any technology which comes, the traditional intellectuals they resist. Even when writing came in long back, people thought writing would do away with human tendency to memorize things. So people thought writing is a bad invention. So same way, any technology, writing as a technology, I view that any technology which comes, people think that it would replace human beings, but it's not the case. People who use it go to the next level, and the risk is many times people who use it will not come out and say, like Dr. Vijay Kumar says, they won't say it's good to use it, because they will use it, go up to a different level, but they will create a public perception of resistance towards technology. 10 years ago, when Grammarly became a part and parcel of academia, institutions resisted it, saying the very idea of writing sentences is an innate, is a prerequisite for any scholar. But now institutions give free access to Grammarly. So what I would take away personally from this session is that I should thank and appreciate Dr. Vijay Kumar again. The insight, what I would take back is that for if we look into the Bloom's taxonomy also, the first half, now we can give that lower order thinking skills to artificial intelligence. So it's not that we depend on that for our creative processes, novelty and stuff, so that we'll be only depending on artificial intelligence. Rather, for example, in a research work now, chat GPT or whatever, it helps us to review the literatures in vast numbers, but which as an individual personally we may not be able to cover that many sources in a single stroke of a click or so. But now we should not stop there. We should go beyond that to use our critical and creative acumen to take it to the next level. So higher order thinking skills still is with the human beings as of now, and lower order thinking skills for which we can depend on technology. So no shame in using technology. We should embrace it. Even another interesting insight, someone asked ChatGPT, will artificial intelligence replace human beings in the future? It gave a 10-point essay. One point of that was, don't see me as a threat. I will not replace people, but artificial intelligence may replace people who don't use it. So we must look into embracing it and taking it to the next level. So that's one thing. And why I'm really excited about talking about this is I accepted conducting a workshop on embracing AI for English language skills next month in April 3rd. So last evening when I was preparing for this, I got the help of AI as well. Tell me what are all the tools you have to teach language, so that when it gave a list of tools, I one by one I used it, how we can use that to teach vocabulary or things of that kind. And especially the interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary aspect which Professor was talking about, to go to the next level, rather than complaining it's difficult for humanities people to get into the Scopus world or Web of Science world, by adding significant contributions to the scholarship, how better we can collaborate with others in finding out ways to show our individuality, and also at the same time our presence in the scholarly academia is important. Thank you so much, sir. I believe scholars would have, participants would have a few questions as well. I now open the floor for such discussion. Participants, if you have any questions, you can post it on the chat box, or you can ask, and Professor would be ready to respond. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jirish. It was really deeply insightful and trenchant comments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. This is a very interesting session today. As
Thank
a
you.
student from literature, I thought it comes under qualitative research, and it must be in an explorative research. So my question is that possible when we do an interdisciplinary research? It should need some conclusive uh, statement for that research.
Yeah, of course, ma'am. It all depends on the research questions you formulate. And definitely, any question you formulate, you travel with the question till the end of your work. You should be able to do some kind of justification to the question. And if you bring some interdisciplinary constructs from the other fields, those constructs also has to be validated. And by the end, you should travel along with the research question and answer those constructs in any kind of methodologies, whether it is qualitative or quantitative, experimental, quasi-experimental, ethnographic, any kind of method you follow, you should be able to answer the interdisciplinary constructs as well. If it is possible to answer, you end up choosing those fields. If it's not possible, you drop it. So as simple as that. So you can definitely embrace interdisciplinary fields and constructs from other fields. And you have to ensure those constructs are very much related to your work. You don't choose something that's not related, or something that's very difficult to validate. So your question is such a wonderful, calibrated and thoughtful question. And definitely you need to travel along with that construct till the end. And you should be able to conclude not only based on your mainstream work, but also on the ancillary constructs that you're working on. I hope I have answered your question. Thank you for that fine
Yes,
question.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening.
Sir, in order to be our paper to be published in elsewhere or Scopus or Web of Science, wherever it is, which is important, which is plays vital role, whether it is theme or style of language or format, what could be what could be plays vital role in that?
Yes, actually, all parameters, if I can encapsulate the essence of writing a research paper in just one sentence, it all boils down to novelty. As I said, there is something called the desk rejection. They look at your paper, they don't find the paper appealing, you're reinventing the wheel to throw your paper. But the success for an early researcher is if your paper is not desk rejected. What I mean by that is, of course, all these parameters like language, novelty, the IMRAT format, the scientific methodology, all these things matter. But the starting point of all these aspects is establishing novelty. And if your topic is very new, of course, it doesn't get desk rejected. So to answer your question, the greatest success for an naive, I won't even use the word naive, for a new researcher or an early researcher is to make sure that it chooses some novel areas, establishes novelty. So if you want your paper to see daylight in a very good journal, the starting point is novelty. Establish the novelty, because the framework today in journals, if you look at structured abstract, there are three aspects of your abstract. One, what is new in the field? They separately ask you this question. If you look at a journal called the British Journal of Educational Technology, they have given one-page guideline for Asian researchers, people who are working in from Asian countries, because they believe that they don't meet up with the benchmarks. So I would answer your question in three sentences. Question A, what is already known in the field? Write a short paragraph. B, what is not known in the field? C, what are you contributing to the field to make it new? This is the abstract. In many Elsevier journals, humanities journals, this is the abstract. It is no more a kind of an abstract format that we had, an IMRAT format. The format is what is known, what is unknown, what are you contributing. So you write 4 lines for each of this and you communicate. So to answer your question, your topic should be very novel so that it does not, your paper is not desk rejected. But this question can't be answered in a few sentences. There are many elements to it. But the first element is novelty. Thank you for such a fine question. I find the
Thank you,
question
sir.
really appealing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, very good evening, sir,
Good evening. Yes.
and thanks for a eye-opening session. Sir, you have talked on novelty in selecting a topic, right, sir?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have doubt on in my select novels there is a content called like disharmony, relationship and marriage incompatibility,
Okay.
and those themes were already taken place in the in another thesis with the same author. Okay.
Okay.
So here, how can I use my novelty? In what way my search should be?
Okay. I'll just give you a example, a real life example, because you use the word incompatibility. Actually, these kind
Yes.
of terminologies are very much prevalent in the field of psychology. When I say psychology, mainstream psychology. And you can, of course, go and pick, because, when you talk about relationship issues, you can pick constructs from the field of psychology. Probably you can have a look at the mainstream theories in psychology, and you can see how these kind of psychological theories will fit into the ambit of your study. And if you can bring one new theory from another field and transplant it in your work, I think that will be a way of achieving novelty. Just because you said that there are similar works on that, researchers have already worked on that, there is already a thesis on that, probably there may not be many works, maybe even one or two, but in the hearts of hearts, there is already a work in that. So which means you're
Yes,
only
sir.
reinventing the wheel. So I would
Yes,
suggest you to
yes.
spread your wings to the other closer fields like applied psychology, and find out constructs from the field. And if you can plonk in those constructs, definitely your work will have a lot of novelty. I personally believe that is the way to achieve novelty in your work.
Thank
I
you
hope I
so
have
much.
answered your question. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that lovely question. Yeah.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
my question is that you frequently use the word of psychology. Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then psychology, I think psychology is the based different types of disciplinary thesis, right,
Mm.
sir?
Yeah.
Sir, my question is very simple. That being a literature student, definitely the student who has not read about more information regarding the psychology. So, which special types of books? What special types of books we should study regarding the literature?
Wonderful question. There are two parts to this question. You told me that I am frequently use the word psychology from a different field, but now I want you to reflect on, even if you take literature for that matter, there are no mainstream theories. You see, many theories, even in the field of literature, are offshoots from other fields. Even psychoanalytic theory is an offshoot of psychology. But my only concern is psychoanalytics has been worked so much that you can't keep reworking. So you have to go into the medical field and pick certain theories. And you have to just, and in terms of books that you are, questioning what kind of books to read, uh, there is a book on theory and praxis, or if you just can google it on emerging theories in second language acquisition, or emerging theories in literature, or even if you can ask this question to chat gpt on what are some of the emerging theories that I can use for this topic, it is definitely going to give you a list of theories. And from that theories, you can look at that list of theories, and then you can look which theory will fit into that research question. And from that research question, you can search for bibliography. You will find a lot of books. But my simplest suggestion to you is to find a simple book on praxis and theory. You have to look for books on emerging theories, especially recently published works. Usually, Routledge every year publishes a book on theories. I think recently in 2022 also, there is a book on theory and praxis for literature. You can just make such searches, Google search. I'm sure that it is a Routledge publication. And there are a couple of Springer publications also on applied psychology and theories. If you can read the book on applied psychology and theories in Springer, probably you can see if some of them will fit into the ambit of your study. Thank you, ma'am, for yet another fine question. I hope I have answered your question as well.
Yes, sir. And one more question, sir,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
The question is that beautifully you have defined it how we should choose our topic for your thesis writing or as well as the research paper writing.
Yeah.
So question is that I have seen so many topics of different authors or the research scholars that there are the topics somehow I found too much lengthy. Somewhere I found too much short. And what is the real length or real words that may be used for our topic?
Okay, actually, it's a very, very interesting question, because in terms of length, the people think that the volume of work. I know, frankly, some supervisors who just ask the students, okay, these pages are not enough, go and add 100 pages, 250 pages. But I personally feel that in order to, have a fine balance, you just have to. Uh, I'm just lost track. Just a minute. I'm sorry, ma'am. Just mind digress. What is the question you asked me? I don't know if I'm exactly answering your question.
My question is very simple that what sir how lengthy is the topic?
Lengthy. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I got it. So actually, as far as length is concerned, if you look at international benchmarking, go to ProQuest thesis in your area and look at the ProQuest databases of thesis published in top-notch countries. I'm not saying that top-notch countries produces top-notch research. That's not the point. But I personally feel an ideal length for an thesis in literature is anywhere between 150 to 170 words. In fact, you can write even a 70-page or a 100-page thesis, but of course your supervisors may not accept that. But anything between 150 to 200 pages, I feel is an ideal length for a literature thesis. And including annexure for an ELT thesis, anywhere between 170 to 200 pages is ideal. And for linguistics, anywhere between 150 pages to 200 is ideal, because this is an international benchmarking that you usually see. But anything less than that is also fine. And another thing to keep in mind is at least 60% of the references in your work latest. When I say latest, for the past 5 years, have you quoted work? So if you can quote extensively, because sometimes in some theses you see people have obsolete citations. So you have to make sure the citations are very recent. So this is the benchmarking. So it's, 150 is ideal for your field on literature.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other
Sir,
questions? Yeah.
sir, sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for the wonderful section, sir.
Thank you.
These days, people are talking about AI. So,
Hmm.
how to use AI for a research, whether it is a literature or a ELT thesis, sir,
Okay.
for
Actually,
our
for
research?
example, I'll give you a very simple. What is your topic?
My topic is about, uh, I don't know whether I could say here.
Okay,
I'm
no
not
need. You
sure.
know, you can keep your topic confidential. Let us say you want to use AI. Of course, you want to use AI ethically. What you need to do is you will just type your topic and give me, and you will ask there are two versions of chat GPT. You might say that there is one chat box in that. Okay, or you can simply just give me a framework for the thesis entitled. You type a title. It will give you the entire framework. Framework in the sense the introduction, these components could frame the review of literature. You can use it as a base. On that
Oh,
base, you may do a lot of voracious studies, research, and you can cull out a lot of information, properly cite. Another danger about AI is citation. It may give you a citation. Chat GPT is updated till 2021. It will give you a citation. But if you carefully observe, it is not academic writing. Probably chat GPT is suitable if you can prepare an essay for an exam, if you can prepare a lecture for the class, but it is not suitable when you're doing some serious academic writing. But you will get a lot of ideas. Now, how you can use chat GPT is you can have the framework, you can develop the ideas. For example, you don't know what kind of research questions you want to formulate for your work. You can type your title and ask for the research questions. It will give you the research questions. From the research questions, you can build on your area. So the building intelligence is yours. AI can make your work a lot easier. You can ask to the AI what kind of theories will be suitable for my study on. If you type the title, it will give you a list of theories. That is how AI can make your work a lot easier.
okay.
I hope I
Thank
have
you,
answered
sir.
your question.
If
Yeah.
I
Okay,
can
thank you.
add,
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Sir,
yes.
I think you are a great follower of Chat GPT.
No, no, no. I don't follow. It's not that a follower. As Dr. Jirish said, it's embracing any kind of tool optimally and see how you can leverage the best out of it. And as he rightly said, I felt that was really a very sagacious suggestion. Probably the best thing I have heard so far about this Bloom's taxonomy and mapping it with how you use AI. I think it was better said by Dr. Jirish than me answering this question. So I feel that you use it to leverage your study, but that doesn't become the mainstream. It only supports your ideas. That's all. So there's no harm in using it
yeah, yes,
as long as you keep the ethical component right.
yeah. If I can
Okay.
add on to it, no, there is in academia there is resistance to any technology, as I was telling before. So by the time we resist and we are forced to accept it, technology goes to a different level. So we'll be lagging behind. So by the time,
Absolutely.
no, spending time and energy on critically resisting certain things, we'll have to find out how to embrace it and take it to the next level. By which, no, when I said that we can use ChatGPT for review of literature, I don't want myself to be misquoted. I'm not saying we should unethically borrow research, review from the chat GPT. Rather, what you do in the first 1 year of our PhD, now chat GPT helps you to complete that work in 1 or 2 weeks. It gives you a list of works that are being done in that particular research area. So it tells you that you are not reinventing the wheel. Or if at all you are reinventing the wheel, it tells you change your path. So you spend time on reading the list given by ChatGPT. So reading is yours. Critical and creative reading and finding the gaps is yours. So that is the human aspect that we can add on to the existing AI model.
Yes, I see one more small comment, Joy. Well said, Dr. Girish. Only one more small comment.
Yeah.
If you look at journal publications recently, they're just revamping. A lot of top journals are coming out with that. And there is a particular short note, like the author bio, you should state in your research paper in what capacity you use that AI and for what purpose and how you used it. You should just give a short write-up on
That's interesting. Interesting.
that. Yeah. Yes. I saw a recent journal in Elsevier. I saw a recent journal. In what capacity you used AI? Because they know for sure that everybody is using AI.
Using it, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So over to
Any
you.
other questions? Any other questions from the participants? I think
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session. It's really very wonderful and informative.
Thank
Sir,
you.
myself, Mangal Patil. I want to know, sir, that you are talking about novelty, no? So
Yeah.
my topic is information seeking behavior of law students. So how can I make it novel, sir? Please guide me.
Yeah. Actually, law is not my cup of tea. It's a totally different domain.
Sir, actually,
Yeah.
I'm a librarian. My field is library science, but because I'm working in law and I'm a
Okay.
law graduate, so I'm taking that subject, sir.
Oh, I see. I think the best way to establish novelty in your work is to actually do some real kind of field work. That is what I have
Yeah,
seen
sir.
some researchers doing. Because sometimes some areas you can just sit at your place, collect a lot of review of literature, and say that this study still merits deeper investigation. But for the kind of work you do, the only way you can just establish your niche is just doing a kind of very comprehensive, real field work. So if you can
Yeah.
find a design that is ethnographic by nature, or designs that are purely statistical by nature, or purely empirical by nature, you can come out with some kind of interesting findings. By that, what I mean is real one-to-one interaction with people, then mere questionnaires, interview recordings related to your field, or some kind of an ethnographic field work. You can establish novelty. I think the best way to establish novelty in your field is to choose designs that opens itself to, you know, impactful work. That is what I
Yes,
feel.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we can take one more question.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, sir.
I'm
Good evening.
working on comparative literature.
Yeah.
How can I improve my work, or how am I to bring about novelty in my area, in my field?
Yes. Actually, comparative literature, there was a time when comparative literature was considered not as a mainstream literature at all. But now EFLU University of many universities abroad have a separate department called the Department of Comparative Literature, which means there is so much they have established that it is already a very niche area. There's so much of scope for comparative literature. The best way to answer your question is what I tell my researchers is I just give a short assignment. I see if you can do the same, you can definitely come out with something very creative. I tell them go and visit the top 50 universities in QS ranking, or visit the top 100, enlist the universities. In that university, my assignment to you is go to the departments that offer comparative literature. I'm just telling you, go to the departments that offer comparative literature. Look at those departments. Then visit the professors in the department and look at their top citations, the top papers in 2023 recent publications. And you will definitely see they'll all be working on niche areas, or else they cannot publish. So the simple assignment that I give to my scholars is to list based on QS rankings, top 100 universities, see what the other professors are doing, look at the assignments, what kind of, and there's one more thing in the QS ranking. If you go and visit the universities, they have clearly mentioned their research agenda. Every university in the top 10, they have something called the research agenda, or the key areas in research. So visit comparative literature and look at the key areas there, and look at the key terms. Or even if you can look at EFLU University and look at the recent publications there. But I would suggest that you look at EFLU, but more than that, explore the top 50 universities in QS world rankings, especially the departments of comparative literature. You will definitely find a novel area for your work. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you for that fine question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, sir.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Am I audible?
Dr. Joy, can I make this as a final question?
Yeah.
Doc-
This can be the final question. Yeah, we are running out of time.
Yeah. This is my question. You from Andhra Pradesh.
Yes.
My doubt is, especially students scholars are joining in universities, how they researchers like or they work, they say that the universities have no value. Like for example, deemed university. And what is the criteria level between a government university and deemed universities? Because when we tell our students to join in other the government universities, they don't come up with notifications. Whereas the deemed universities, at the end of their submission or as they are doing, even the guiding supervisors in the deemed university, they don't encourage their friends or colleagues to join in the universities. Actually, can you please throw some light on this? Like at the end of the day, even today, if you look at in Andhra Pradesh, this is the problem we are facing, sir. Brilliant students, they are not getting seats. And even though if they're getting seats, the fee is very high. The fee is very high. And even in certain universities, there are no faculty members, and the intake of the students has been dropped down to, for example, for 30, now the number is in government universities came up 10, 13, like why is it happening like this? When there is a lot of
Yes,
scope they wanted. Like for example, when we any engineering, first thing they ask either you doctorate or either you have next qualification. So when PhD is so important, then why is it we are not getting support from the universities or from the government? And at the end of the day, they'll say that your certificate has no value because you have done it from a deemed university. Can you please
Of
share?
course, I find this question very interesting. I'll just keep my responses as short and crisp as possible. The UGC does not distinguish between or any kind. If you just go for recruitment, also they don't look at whether ultimately what matters is you have done your PhD. But if you go for interviews to some top colleges or even for the central universities, they want research scholars to complete their PhD only in central universities. So there are, yeah,
IIT, IIM. Only
yeah,
Why,
so
sir?
they
Why
have
that
such parameters.
partiality? Why that partiality and
No,
why
no, no.
they have
Actually,
to look down?
what I wish to, no, actually, it's very difficult to answer. Why? Because I don't belong to the any policy making deciding authority. But what I can say is government, UGC for that matter, does not distinguish. Wherever you complete, you may have completed your degree in deemed university. Doesn't mean that they give 20 points to an central university and 10 points to deemed university. Suppose you go for an TRB any interview, the points are almost the same. So, but I can just give you one specific suggestion on how you can still do at a government university or a deemed university or a private university and go and challenge even an IIT. How you can do that? I have a solution for that. The solution for that is, let us say you publish in your, you have a target of 10 years, 5 years, depending on your age. Let us say you publish some top journals in your field, like whatever is the top journal in your field, like Sage, Wiley, Routledge. You can go and challenge IIT professors stating that this is my publication, this is my H index. What H index? Not Google Scholar H index, Scopus H index. When you have such publications, all the equations are ruled out. Central University, where you did your PhD, all those things are ruled out. So the only way you can rule out all the equations and show that you are great regardless of where you do is publication. Once you have very good publications, where you doesn't matter. You can do in a deemed university and get a top position in IIT. You can challenge IIT and ask them, I have an H index of 10 in literature. Is there anybody with H index of 10? So that can really, that's the only solution. I don't see any other solution besides going for high impactful publications.
Yes.
That is international benchmarking.
Sir,
Only one more thing I would like to add. If you want, you can even work in Harvard University. But if you want to work in Harvard University, there is only one condition. Each individual professor who applies for an interview, the first parameter is their individual H index should be 10. Their individual Scopus H index should be 10. And it is possible if you do intensive impactful research for 5 years, 2 publications will do. 2 publications, one in Wiley or Routledge or Springer, are top journals. That your research career will go to a different level. So this is the only solution I see.
Yeah, very good answer,
Sir,
sir. Actually, this
thank
is
you
the
so much,
question in
sir.
the mind. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. A good question. This is the question in the minds of many people as well. So while ma'am asked the question and you were responding, I was contemplating on it. I would quickly share in a minute. I'll share my experience as well. So you are talking about deemed university and state university. Though I have a PhD from a state university from Tamil Nadu. But if you go to an interview, say NIT or IIT or so, the idea is on paper there is no discrimination of this sort. But as ma'am said, or as we all know, there is a hierarchy. IIT foreign PhDs, IIT, that's QS ranked university PhDs, IIT, IIMs, and then central universities, then state university full time, state university part time, and then comes deemed university and all that. But what I understand is, as sir said, so from that interview experience, what I understand is I may think I am doing a decent work, but I may think I can do well in the interview process. But what is more important is before I enter the interview hall, the interview people should know about me, for which I should write better. Right, as sir said, my H index should speak. So if I have the H index, then where I come from, what I do, everything is secondary. So that's the idea. And another political dimension, there is a kind of nexus. For example, most of these interviews, the panelists are people from central universities or IITs, and they know their scholars. And if I'm not questioning their potential and all that. It's easy for me to recommend a person who I know who has potential than suggesting someone who I do not know. That kind of compatibility is considered as merit. There is nothing called merit. Merit is relative, and that compatibility is considered merit. So times would change if scholars like Professor here, Vijay Kumar sir, and so when you enter the interview panels and stuff, these things would change. People like, so now, as of now, the deciding the ball is in the governmental, people working in the governmental organizations. So it would change. As sir said, when we write, that is our address. When we write and produce knowledge, where we come from becomes a secondary. Thanks for that insightful question. And I believe this is one of the best sessions, for the matter of fact that we had a lot longer period for discussion and insightful questions. This was really interesting and also beneficial for all of us. Once again, I thank Professor Dr. Vijay Kumar, the organizers, and also the participants who are patiently waiting till all the 70-odd participants are here, benefited by this deliberation. Especially, we had a lot of key takeaways, the ideas regard to storytelling for cancer patients and all that. There are multidisciplinary areas where we can think of patent and all that. Thank you so much, sir. Personally, as a learner, I'm really happy to be part of this discourse. Listening to you, listening to the participants' questions, and also trying to share my point of views as well. Really, thank you. Thank you all.
Sir,
And
can you share
over
your
to the
email
audience.
ID, please?
Thank you, Dr.
Sir, can you please share your email
Girish. It
ID?
was equally a good learning experience for me as well.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
How to contact you for the email IDs, so that if we have any queries, we will write to you.
Sure.
You can share your email IDs in the chat box.
Okay, I will. Dr. Girish, do you have another session after this?
No, sir. Actually, the last session is called off, I guess, and for that reason, we were asked to extend it as well. So,
all right. Can I leave my details with you so that you can share with the participants?
Sure.
Okay. I'll just leave it with the organizers. I'll just my contact details. You can approach the organizers. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Dr. Girish. Thank you so much.